until I know we're live. And then when I know we're live, we'll start the Halloween. It's not. Well, it is technically a 7-day spooktacular, but it's like an extra 7-day spooktacular, right?
Hello.
Hello. Alright. Oh god. It's 7. Where's the stream? I just started it now to blue. I'm sorry. We got the podcast background going on. There's no number because today is a special. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I turn myself down as well?
I don't know. It's okay.
Okay.
I've never done this before.
Let me...
Do we talk to people in chat or do we not?
Yeah, we can read chat and stuff as well as long as we as we go.
I don't think this cup of water is gonna do it.
Do you only have a cup of water? I got an entire gallon of water to drink. I'm prepared. I'm excited. This is our first ever live 7-day spooktacular. Well, it's our first ever live podcast. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
You super
it bothers me
nervous?
how HD those kawaii pumpkins are, but it's okay.
Are they really HD?
Yeah, I'm too lazy to make them like little pixel art.
Right.
Jumping, but,
That's fine. It's like somebody put a big stamp right on it.
Yeah.
All right, so, oh god, people are starting to come in now. Welcome to the stream. What we're going to do today is we're going to start off by reading some of the spooky, scary, terrifying, horrifying, awful, very, very, very bad stories that you guys have sent us. And that sounded like I was saying that they were bad stories. I meant that they're just terrible. They're very spooky. Oh god.
Really awesome.
Oh, okay. I got you. So we're gonna read some of your guys' spooky, scary stories, and then we found some creepypastas to read, and then we're gonna do what we do on the podcast. If you guys have never seen the podcast, it's just like any podcast out there. Me and Bree hang out, we talk about things that are gonna happen, things that are happening, things that happened in the past, and since today is only 3 days away from Halloween, then we're going to talk about some Halloween memories and some spooky things that have happened over the years. Does that sound exciting?
Yeah, I'm really nervous.
All right.
We're usually able to like cut around things.
Right.
And stuff with
yeah.
podcasts.
I usually edit the podcast, but there's no editing today. Ooh. All right. Oh, so since you're the most nervous, I think I'll let you go first, and you have a couple of stories. Oh god, jeez, that's a great way to start off a podcast.
I'm on drugs.
I'm gonna let you start off and go ahead and tell the turn Bree up a little bit, BB girl. All right, I will, man.
Yeah, turn me up, sugar tits. Sorry,
guys.
Hey, we can't.
Jesus.
We're so vulnerable right now. It's not fair.
How's that, Goober? Is that better? All right.
Hello.
So I just wanted to mention real quick, I do have the notifications up in the background, so I can see when people follow and host and stuff like that. But there will be no notifications for this stream, just so we don't interrupt when someone's reading or something. I will just read them every once in a while when people followed. So yeah, you have some spooky stories that you've selected from the submissions, right?
I think I selected this one, but you might want to look at it. I forgot to show you before.
Oh, do you want to send it to me in our chat real quick then?
I just did.
Oh god. Is it really, really bad?
Is it? You read it. How about you read the first one? There we go.
Did they have a name or was it anonymous?
It was anonymous.
Oh.
I don't think it's... Okay, guys.
We cannot honestly know if this is fake or real. But since it was submitted to us, we're going to assume it's very real.
Almost all of the submissions were fake.
Or memes.
Memes, I mean. They were memes.
If this is the only real one, then it takes us right to the top and goes straight to 100 on intensity level. So I was once in the garden with my friend when I was young. I hid in a... I hided... Alright, I'll read it just as it said. I hided in a really good spot outside the garden. Then a man comes straight up calling the police. He did because... Don't fucking correct it. Jesus. He did because there was a fucking dead 3-year-old body where I was hiding. The police came and I panicked. So I ran into the garden and locked the door home. That's how it's. That I read that right.
You
Look,
said looked.
looked the door. Okay, guys, listen. That was the first story. Um,
Thank you.
I feel
That's
like it
all.
was a very good start. But I just remembered something. I have
Should I
some
go
spooky
do all the
background
names
music.
again?
No, just those other two or three. You know the three, right? I'll send them to you just in case.
Okay. We're
There
very
you go.
organized.
All right, I'm gonna turn on this spooky background
Should I
music.
do this one?
Yeah, you're gonna read all three of those because I don't have those
I'm
saved.
very jittery because I'm on a new prescription. So.
You're fine.
Okay, but my main girl, the blue, is here, so I feel okay.
Okay, go ahead and read it. Whichever you want first.
One time, I was home alone at 1 in the morning. I couldn't sleep that night, but I had to use the washroom really badly. While I was sitting on that cold, hard toilet, I started hearing scratching noises at the door. I thought, could it be my cat? But the scratching started getting louder, scarier. I braced myself for the suspense, but nothing happened. But then I realized the most scariest thing of all. I ran out of toilet paper.
Oh shit. Literal shit.
That was from Charles Bean.
Charles Bean?
Charles Bean.
How does that spell?
Charles B-I-A-N.
All right.
Bean.
Sounds like someone we know. All right, next one.
I'm gonna read the blues.
No, I can't read the blues, and you know why.
Okay. Which one did you want? Oh yeah, you're gonna read Smeffy's then, or do you want me
Okay.
to read both of them?
Yeah, I want you to read both of them since they're both
Okay,
frickin'
that's the only
memes.
ones that we can read.
And then I have a couple of actual creepypastas ready.
I don't. Okay, this is from Deplu. This is a story of mine that happened on October 40th, 02420. On a cold shut the fuck up. On a cold, stormy night, I was alone in my house. Only my pet Rock was there to accompany me. I watched the 2016 7-day spooktaculars.
Jeez
I'm on drugs!
Christ. Ow! I just turned you up. God dang it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I watched the 2016 7-day spooktacular on Adventures with Hippie Snuggles. I just finished that last video, and right as they said be sure to subscribe and smash that like button, I heard a loud strike of lightning. My house was shook. I decided to rewatch a few of their podcasts while I had ice cream to cope with my hormones. Halfway through their very first one, I heard outside of my backyard. I got spooked, and I fell out of my chair, spilling my ice cream and nearly hitting a rock. I then cleaned up and headed upstairs, thinking it was the wind. As I got to my room, I once again heard the noise. It had spooked me once again. When I laid down to sleep, the rain had stopped. Right as I closed my eyes to sleep, I heard yet another, but further away from this time. Then when I opened my eyes to check the time, I realized it was morning. It had all been a dream. Or was it?
Jesus
That
Christ.
was the blue, everybody.
Alright, we got one last meme.
And this one is from Watermelon69. I
Okay.
have no idea who that was.
Of course not.
I've never heard of them before. One time Brie ate an egg roll. It scared me so much because then she was slowly turning into an egg roll. And the room had soy sauce everywhere. And she kept asking me, "Where's the sauce?" And then I was like, "Oh man, I don't know." And then she ate me, and we both became egg rolls.
Is that it? Was that it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that was the ones that we picked from the submissions.
That's the gold that you guys submitted to us. Luckily, I planned for this and thought that it might happen. So I decided to go on Reddit, No Sleep, and find some spooky stories and creepypastas that I might read out to you guys. And then after we're done with all of the spooky pastas and scary stories, we might just tell some Halloween memories and things like that. So I'm trying to think, because I obviously want to do this in order of scary, or least scary to most scary, right? Okay. These were all stories that I found on No Sleep, so none of them are mine, and probably none of them are true. I found a secret lab from the 70s. I live in Casper, Wyoming, and have my entire life. Every weekend, I like to hike after a long week of work. It's the one thing I feel connects me to the universe outside of my glorious job at Walmart. 2 years strong. Hold the applause. I had a fairly awful Friday getting reamed out by my manager and needed to get out to avoid losing it. Today I had hiked up a ridge near Garden Creek to relax, and I decided to photograph the powerful sight of the sun seeking red on the horizon when I lost my grip. I dropped my phone trying to get the perfect angle, and it cascaded down the hopefully minimal damage. Jesus Christ, it's very badly written, I'm so sorry. I dropped my phone trying to get the perfect angle, and it cascaded down with hopefully minimal damage 20 odd feet below. Cursing, I descended the rocks and located the sun's reflection on the screen and fetched it, and to my relief, it was fine, aside from a small ding. I then noticed a rusted square inset in the ground, about 4 square feet in size. I approached the metal plate and handle, just outside of the view from the beaten path, and realized this was a trap door that was intentionally discreet. I did what any guy with nothing particularly exciting going on in his life would do, and opened the hatch, revealing a set of rungs descending into blackness. I took a deep breath and gripped the metal bars and began my descent. I first thought this was a fallout shelter, as I held my LED flashlight strap in my teeth as I climbed down. There had been no label for what this led to, but someone could have easily stolen the sign at any point since Jesus Christ, apocalyptic came back in style. The echoes in the darkness were spread out, and I soon realized the chamber I entered below was absolutely massive. Eventually, after 20 meters of descending the ladder, I was on the ground and shined the circular beam of the flashlight around in absolute amazement. This was a massive facility, seemingly unused for decades, from the telltale orange, red, and brown patterns on the floor and rug that had shouted late 70s. The gaudy green desk confirmed this, on which sat TRS-80 Model 2 computers and their large floppy disk drives, and coffee mugs that said in Cooper font with phrases like "Disco is dead" and cassettes of Rush and other gems from around the 40 years ago. It was a time warp, and I was in ecstasy to have discovered this place, albeit a bit creeped out by the dark, cavernous space lit solely by the cold beam of my flashlight. There was paperwork stacked neatly in and out trays, rotary phones, and even a few beanbag chairs near the wood-paneled walls. I walked through the massive circular space, noticing double doors on a wall that continued through, my eyes wide in amazement. Past those doors was the longest hallway I had ever seen. I could just make out the end, the light of the LED barely able to penetrate the thick darkness. There appeared to be over 100 tall steel doors lining the walls of the corridor, each locked and containing a small slot for perhaps food, or another to allow looking inward. A shiver climbed my spine as I stared into the heavy locks of the doors, and it was then that I caught the faint scent of decay. I raised the beam to the slit and peeked into the first chamber on the left, peering in as my neck hairs raised in fear of what I was seeing. A thin, naked man was standing there facing away from the silver of the window. Unmoving, his skin almost looked glossy, reflecting the flashlight in an eerie glow. At first I assumed him long dead, somehow frozen in place, but his hairless head twitched slightly as I disturbed it by the light, and I fell backward in shock, covering my mouth with my hand. My mind raced to understand, but questions sprouted endlessly. I saw a slip of yellowed, brittle paper glued to the floor that read O1AR, and then noticed that all of the doors were numbered as well. I peeked in another room and saw a long, empty chamber with what looked like a moving, oily substance slowly climbing the wall. I blinked in disbelief. It was like a living liquid moving against the push of gravity. I actually bit my hand to confirm I wasn't dreaming, feeling pain swell in confirmation. Oh shit, it's getting spooky. I peeked through another window and shouted as a horrific spiral of teeth similar to a lamprey slammed against the plexiglass slit. I stared in revulsion and disbelief. Whatever the thing in there was, it had to be over 2 feet in diameter, its dozens of sharp teeth twirling against the plexiglass. My mind began to spin as I noticed one of the chambers further in looked to be missing a door, before realizing it was open. It was then I heard the slam of echoing from the large chamber I had come from the entrance hatch. Something was coming down the ladder with echoing clicks of the steel rungs. I ran down the hall, past ungodly nightmares locked behind steel doors, the beams of my flashlight illuminating horrible things in those window slits. Teeths, fangs, claws, stretched limbs and bubbling forms. Things that should not exist. Things that dug into the part of my brain that controls logic and rational thought with strong fingers, ripping it to shreds. Jesus Christ. As I ran down that endless hall, the smell of death grew strong as I passed the open doorway of a massive chamber filled with corpses in various states of decay. Some mummified, black, and skeletal, others fresh and red, some bloated and white with putrefactions. I coughed bile, finally coming to another set of doors and burst through. There was files, cabinets, and lockers, giant reels of magnetic tape lined on the forked wood panels in the walls. It seemed to be a sort of archive. I saw a desk to hide under and dove beneath, clutching my knees. Whoever or whatever is now in the hall and is getting closer, and I am praying that I can rush my breathing when whatever it is comes. All I can do now is sit, consumed by blackness of this room, and wait. And that's it. Oh, did you get spookdiddled?
No, I'm on drugs still.
You didn't get spookdiddled at all? Are you serious? Wow. Well, alright, that one wasn't very effective. Like I said, though, I wanted to do, like, in order of, like, least spooky to spooky. I feel like once I get to the sleep paralysis one, that one might give you a bit of a spookdiddle.
Okay, spoilers.
Well, wow. I just totally told people what we're gonna read after. Okay. You ready for the next one? One man, too many. This happened February of 2012. My team and I, 5 in all, were working the night shift to prepare a call center ops floor in the penthouse of a new Ortegas Tower building near the Moraloco head office building in Pasig City. I don't know where any of that is.
I live there.
Moraloco is the largest electrical provider in the country, while Pasig City is a business district a couple of cities away from our capital city in Manila. There we go, we found out. It was a rush job because we needed to meet the deadline for the infrastructure layout and patching in time for that call center's scheduled opening. In the middle of working, the lone security guard called our attention to make a head count. This was unusual, as head counting is normally done at the start and at the end of the shift. It was about 2:30 a.m. He also checked if all of us wore our uniform. My team wore light blue shirt uniform, while the guard wore a white uniform. The guard grew pale after realizing the count to be accurate, and he exclaimed why. He was reviewing the CCTV footage from a few minutes before, and at 12:12 a.m. timestamp, he noticed one of our team members exiting the men's room as another guy entered it. The other guy looked like a construction worker, complete with hard hat, jeans, and red shirt uniform. They passed by each other as if nothing happened. but the other guy never came out. The guard then asked everyone to help review all CCTV angles, but we never did see the person again. He never left through the single main access door, nor the elevator. My teammate claimed that not to have passed anyone on his way out of the men's room. He just remembered feeling a cold spot along the corridor as he went out, and dismissed it despite knowing that there was no AC. Another weird thing about the footage was this. The area between where the person's neck and the part where his face was supposed to be was completely black. The video was consistent in this. No matter how many times we rewound or did the slow-mo playback, it was impossible to ID the person. Security was tight in the area as only the one guard carried the lone proximity card to open the main access door to the elevator hall. Contractors like us weren't allowed to have our own proxy cards and can't go anywhere else without permission. We tried to get a copy of the video, but the management held on to it, citing security issues. The same guard told us the story of the person who the person is. He was one of the construction workers that originally worked on the site 5 months prior. He jumped out of the balcony from the men's room after learning his wife was cheating on him. The lover turned out to be a close friend of his. Even his firstborn wasn't his own. The guard was on duty that day when that happened, and he remembered the red shirt the person wore, as he was the only one to report the incident to the police. Apparently, it was the third time he was saw on CCTV. The person walking around the floor. What happened that night we were unable to bear for him, and he finally spilled the beans. Needless to say, why are you laughing at beans? You would be terrible in a horror movie. Like, someone would say something, you'd be like, beans. Needless to say, after that night, we implemented a buddy system every time someone needed to separate from the group. Nothing major happened after that. The ominous feeling in that work area was sometimes too much. That feeling that there was always someone else around. Our project ended soon, which was good for me. What do you think? You think there's a ghost in there?
I have a story.
Okay.
I'm on drugs.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
It's more of a poem
That's...
called Derek the Donkey.
Oh my god, is this a horror story? If it's not, I'm not letting you read it.
It's scary.
Is it actually scary? You pinky promise. Do you pinky promise?
I pink promise.
Alright, we're gonna go ahead and read the next one. Sleep
No,
paralysis.
Derek the Donkey.
Oh my god, go ahead, hurry up.
You talk too much on this podcast. It's my turn.
Okay, hurry up.
One scary night, Derek the Donkey was in his dirty den, and he heard crackling in the back of his den. And he thought to himself, I didn't make popcorn. And he went to the back of his den, and there was no one there. So Derek the Donkey left his dirty den and investigated what those popping and crackling noises were. But Derek the Donkey couldn't find them. So he made popcorn instead. But then there was a huge...
Are you making this up from somewhere?
No, I'm reading it.
Okay.
This huge boom, and Derek the Donkey was never seen again.
Okay.
Shout out to my main girl Blue.
So the house exploded. Okay. Oh my god, I just got an ad and it scared the crap out of me. I'm sorry, man. Alright, we ready for the next one?
I lose viewers when I start talking.
That's because you always tell stories about Derek the Donkey and crap. Alright. Sleep paralysis. My brain definitely plays tricks on me. It always has. Ever since I can remember. Although there have been moments in my life that even now when I look back, it's all too real and still completely unexplainable. No exaggerations. It's 3 a.m. where I am right now, and I can't sleep because of my brain. Again. It's riddled with unwanted thoughts. I'm paranoid, and I'm scared for no reason. Great. I figured this would be a wonderful time to share a terrifying experience I had with the paranormal when I was about 14 or 15 years old. Sleep paralysis. It's honestly hard to talk about here, but here I go. I'll go from California, but I'm from California, but I had moved to Vermont to live with my aunt for a few months. She lived in a small town next to a huge graveyard. When I was 14, I was so into that. I loved the dead, the mystery behind it, and the goth vibes. Little did I know at the time were the kind of fire I was playing with. I had a Nikon camera, and I loved photography. I'm a very artsy person, and I would go by myself into the graveyard, and I would sing and try to talk to the ghosts and take pictures. I would walk about the tombstones, and I would photograph whatever I found mystic and artsy. I loved the thrill and the fact that people thought I was so brave for doing that alone. It was a very creepy graveyard. I would not do that shit alone ever again in these days. Anyway, I would visit this graveyard often alone. My friends would tag along at a night for a scare every now and then too. It was cool, but we did see things at night that were pretty unsettling. I'll never forget going down that steep, dark hill and seeing what looked like hundreds of dark figures in cloaks floating toward us, giving me chills to this day. And I'm almost certain one of those things followed me back home. Shortly after I started seeing these figures, I moved back to California to live with my grandma. I forgot about the whole thing until the first night back in California in my grandma's house. I remember it clearly. I was listening to music with my headphones, drawing a picture before bed. I was upstairs and my grandma and my step-grandma slept downstairs. I was laying on the couch and fell asleep with my headphones in. Happy music playing. I don't know how long I was asleep before, but when I woke up, the room was so still. It was cold, and it was eerily dark, with the only blue tones from the moon lighting up the living room. It was just so silent. Silent to where I could hear the ringing in my ears. I was asleep, but I woke up to the strong sense of panic coming over me. I felt the fight or flight mode click in my body. I could not move. I could not speak. There was a dark figure hovering over my body, very close to my body. I somehow managed to get my arms up to move the fight off what was attacking me. My ears were very hot and my eyes were blurry, but I could see and feel this figure hurting me. It had a hold of my head, as if two hands were holding the sides of my head and pushing on my ears. I was clawing at it, and I finally managed to get a scream out. My grandma and step-grandma ran upstairs. My step-grandma had a gun out because they thought someone had broken into the house. She said that she had heard the commotion, but it was only me there. My grandma had to shake me awake. It was like she was shaking me back into reality, out of whatever dimension of evil I was just in. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I was sweating, and tears were rolling down my face. There were scratch marks on my face, and my headphones were wrapped around my neck. That's it. What did you think of that one?
Well, spooky. I used to get sleep paralysis all the time.
I've never gotten sleep paralysis.
It's literally terrifying.
I've always wanted to get sleep paralysis.
You don't.
Because I don't know what sleep paralysis is fully, right? I just figure it's like you wake up, but you're like paralyzed and you're like still slightly dreaming. That's what I imagine it as.
It's like, it's sleep paralysis is like, I think it's when you're stuck between falling asleep and
Right.
waking up, or vice versa.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Because one time I got really bad sleep paralysis, and I was in bed, and you can't move, and my eyes are open,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I saw something at the doorway,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, you're like half awake and half, yeah. And I kept trying to scream, but I could only go like, mm. I could only make like
So
little
basically the
noises.
same noises you make nowadays.
Yeah, kind of. But like I was trying to scream so hard and I was trying to move so hard that
Right.
it puts you in a sweat because you're trying to move so bad. So like I think I just either wait to wake up and stuff and to adjust, and it takes like a while to get out of it, or
Right.
sometimes I just go back to sleep and try again.
There was one thing that happened that I don't know if it was sleep paralysis or if it was me almost dying. I don't know if I've ever told you about this. And now people aren't going to believe me because they're like, oh, he's never even told his girlfriend. It's probably a lie.
Oh
Okay,
my god.
so when I was like about 12 or 13, I had gotten pneumonia. And I had it really bad to where my lungs were just filled and I was just sick for like a month. And as I was starting to get rid of my ammonia, is it pneumonia or pneumonia? Sorry, I just said ammonia. I had ammonia in my lungs. I was really dying.
Oh god.
No. So I had pneumonia and I was getting over the pneumonia. And do you remember H1N1, the swine flu that everybody was dying from? I got it as I had pneumonia. And they took me into the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, he has H1N1, and he's getting over pneumonia. There's not really anything you can do. Just take him home, and if things start getting really bad, take him to the emergency room. And I was sick for like 3 months. But one night, I was having this really bad dream, and I was really tripped up on cold medicine and sleeping stuff, so I could sleep. And I had this dream that I was being sucked out of my own body.
Ew.
Yeah, and I was in my body, and it was like I was trying to wake up, and my eyes were starting to open, but like I was just too exhausted and too tired to move my body or fully open
Was
my
it like a
eyes.
blubber sucker?
No, it was like I was seeing myself pulled out of me. And then as I was just like, I just kept feeling tired and tired and tired. I eventually just closed my eyes again. And I woke up that morning. So I don't know if that was sleep paralysis or if I was about to die.
That's probably a dream.
I was probably about to die. Great. So I died one time, guys. That's how YouTubers do things. I'm going to tell you
Yeah,
about the
like
time that I died.
there was this thing like I would get sleep paralysis if I thought about getting sleep paralysis. So I'm probably gonna get sleep paralysis soon now. But like I once I got my first time getting sleep paralysis, I was like 13, and I was like I freaked out and I went to my mom crying once I got up. I was like, oh my god. And once you have sleep paralysis, there's a lot. I don't know. Sleep paralysis has been around forever,
Yeah.
and most people thought it was like demons and stuff. And
Yeah.
because when you're in sleep paralysis, you have a fear, or like you think like somebody's in your room or something. And I don't know. Somebody told me that they had sleep paralysis and a spider was right next to them.
Oh my god.
It was an actual spider, though. I think. I don't know if that was you. Hey, but
I'm so sorry. I'm terrified of spiders.
yeah. But then I got so obsessed of learning about sleep paralysis and looking it up and researching about it that I just keep having it, and it was terrible.
Yeah. I since we're on the topic of sleeping, I told you about the nightmares I used to have of the figures at the end of my bed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I tell that story?
Yeah.
Okay. So that happened on and off from the time I was about 8, 7 or 8, all the way up until the last time I've had that dream was like 3 years ago. So it's something that I've had on and off ever since I was really little. And I remember it, I started having it at my grandma's house, which was just a really screwed up place, right? And my grandma was crazy and did all kinds of witchcraft and stuff when she was younger, and there was all kinds of stories about that as my mom was growing up, and their houses constantly seemed haunted and stuff like that. And I would have this dream that I would wake up and at the end of my bed would be anywhere from one to like three or four of these tall shadows, like tall enough to where their heads are like tilted so they don't touch the roof.
That's creepy as fuck.
And I would stare at them for about a minute, and they wouldn't move. They would stare back, and I would eventually just get so tired that I would fall back asleep. And I would wake up an hour or two later, and there would be blood pouring out of my nose. Like, so much that I would get lightheaded, and there'd be blood all over my bed and all over my sink in my bathroom. It was the most blood I've ever seen was from my nosebleeds. And it happened every time. And I would sleep, wake up, I would see them, I'd go back to sleep, wake up, my blood would be covered, my pillow would be covered in blood. And that happened ever since, like, my blood would be covered in pillow. It got so bad that I went to a doctor for it, for my nose, because I thought it was something to do with where I lived, and the house that I lived in after that. It started getting worse and worse because it got worse and worse as I got older. The house that I lived in had a lot of mold, and that's where I got the pneumonia. So that's my lungs, my sinuses, and that area was just really, really bad. And they went in and they diagnosed me with cyanitis, and they told me I had really, really bad sinus problems. And I kept having the dreams, it kept happening. And then I moved to the house that I'm in now, and it started becoming a lot less frequent. Like, I would only get it like once a month. And so it's true, it's very dry here. But I went from getting it every night to getting it like once a month. And then when I went back into the doctor, like 5 years ago, they checked me and they're like, no, you don't have cyanitis, you have nothing wrong with your sinuses. So I still don't know why I was getting such severe nosebleeds, but yeah, they were like, no, you're fine, your nose is fine. So yeah, that's the figures at the end of my bed that I kept having as a child. Did you ever have anything like that? Something that you felt like followed you, or
I had like repeating dreams that would keep going on and on and on. So,
like repeating or playing like a movie, like over and like picking up where they left
like
off?
If I fall asleep, it would pick up where I left off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Nowadays, I have really fucked up dreams.
You do. You have some of the worst dreams I've ever heard of.
I should tell the story about this guy my mom ran into at the cemetery.
Well, hold on. You should start on when it all started. Like, you should go back to like the noises and the hamper.
Oh, you call this bullshit though.
Listen, I don't think the hamper is. I thought the guy was.
Yeah.
But the hamper was a bit spooky.
Okay.
Because I caught the end of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think my house could have, or could be, a little haunted. I'm kind of a skeptic and stuff.
Not really.
But like kinda like
you totally love that stuff.
I do, but I don't know if like it's legit. You know, hashtag legit.
Hashtag legit.
Like, okay, so everybody in my house has nightmares at the same time, right?
Describe that. Like, what do you mean? Like, they're having the same nightmare, or
Not the same
oh, okay.
nightmares, but we have like me, my brother, my dad, my mom. We all like when we get nightmares, we have them at the same lengths and the same times.
Right.
You know.
We'll go through
then,
patches.
Yeah, and then we'll stop having nightmares, and then we'll be like, "Oh, I just had a nightmare," and they're like, "Oh my god, I fucking did too," and then you know, and then we're like, "Oh, you have nightmares? Not really same," you know, that kind of thing. But anyways, we've all been having crazy nightmares. I think mine are the most terrible. Just old bias, because I have very, very. I don't know if it's because of my mental illnesses or because I'm just crazy, but I have super gruesome, like, disturbing, imagining weird dreams, like dealing with my family and all my fears I have, like burning houses and stuff. And I had, yeah, just a bunch of terrible dreams, and so has my mom and dad and Christian. And so should I tell about the random guy?
No, I want you to
Okay.
say what happened
So,
with that laundry hamper.
okay. So a week or two ago, or 2 weeks ago, I don't know. I don't think it was a ghost, but it could be. Okay, so my laundry hamper was just chilling out in the hallway, right? It was just chilling, doing hamper things, just sitting
Right.
there. And my dog comes, and he comes towards me, and then the hamper moves in front of him, like, zoop, in front of him, and my dog freaks out. So at first I was like, maybe Taffy's tail got tagged onto the hamper, and it pulled the hamper with it. But then I was like, there was shit in the hamper, and my dog is small,
Right.
and he got really spooked, and so I was like, oh god. But then we had, I think like a year ago, I don't even know if I met you at the time, but my house, you would hear scratching, and you hear, I'll get to my brother's scratching, but this is, okay, my scratching experience. Okay, so downstairs above, like in the ceiling, you can hear like scratching, and I don't know if it's like mice or something, but if we had mice, and we've had mice for the whole time we've been here, so, and it's just weird because we hear it sometimes, and I've heard it in my room sometimes, like scratching in the walls. And then sometimes I see Mosey staring at the wall. Like every day she does this. She just stares
Right.
at the wall. I mean, cats stare at walls, but she's staring at where usually you hear scratching and stuff. So she probably is like, who's scratching
Yeah.
at my walls?
It's
So,
probably like, oh, there's a ghost in here.
but I talked to my mom about it, and recently she was like, okay, we think this is bullshit because there's somebody, I live in a very, very small town, and my mom, we have a cemetery like near my house, like down the street, and my mom walks my dog to it and then walks back home.
Mm-hmm.
And she met this weird guy. we I'm not like, this is totally fine if you do a drag or anything, like that's awesome, but this guy, he's like a drag queen sometimes, but sometimes he's not. He's a real like mysterious dude, and everybody knows him. And my mom, he stopped my mom and was like talking about crystals, and like he's like, I know why you guys are having nightmares. He's like, if you need, you should get some sage and sage the house. So my mom told me, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy, until she told me who the person was. I was like, oh, that's probably bullshit. But I think saging the house would be fine because it's not hurting anything. But my mom, I was like, one-on-one with my mom, I was like, do you think we have anything in the house? She's like, I think we have somebody that needs help crossing over. Like, it's not like evil or anything, but needs help finding light and stuff. And I was like, and then I couldn't sleep for like a week. And
Yeah. And then you were panicked and like terrified of everything that you heard.
because I'm a very scared little person. Like, I'm
Yeah,
scared of the dark.
you get very
and stuff.
spook-diddled.
But I think I'm fine now. But that's weird. I'm supposed to be scared. It's getting Halloweeny soon.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be scared. But yeah, that's my experiences with my house. Plus,
Yeah.
this house is from like
1800.
late 1800s, and it's in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's a very spooky state.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys have all kinds of like stuff going on in there.
We have, Gettysburg. Ooh, I have another spooky story.
Okay, but I was gonna
This is
say, do you want to do it first, or should I tell people what was happening for a while there with Squidgems?
Ooh, that's a good idea, but I gotta write this down.
All right, go for it. You want to start doing that, and I'll start telling the story?
Yeah.
Okay, so my birthday is the 24th of October, and Halloween, of course, is the 31st. So ever since I was younger, everything to do with my birthday had to do with Halloween. So I always liked spooky stuff. I always liked the horror movies. I always liked the scary movies, the Tim Burton movies, the darker things. And so I would always be attracted to that type of stuff, the creepier looking things. And so for my birthday last year, Bree made me one of these
You should read this after when you're done.
Okay.
The story of them.
Okay. Bree made me one of these burlap dolls. I had been seeing them online, and I was like, I want to buy one of these burlap dolls. They're terrifying. They have buttons sewn for eyes, and they look super creepy. And Bree decided to make me one for my birthday. And so she went and got burlap, actual burlap sack, and buttons and stuffing.
Which, like hell.
And she made me something called squidgems. And squidgems is pretty terrifying looking, to be honest. But if you can get me one right now.
Oh God, I think I can.
Okay. So yeah, ever since I got them, weird things started happening. This thing is it's not too big, so it's not heavy, so it can't really be balanced in one direction. It's just kind of one of those things that if you lay it somewhere, it'll stay in that position because it's not a heavy object. So I put them on a shelf with all of my other spooky stuff. I have pop figures up there. I have mugs. I have a very, very heavy... I want to just point this out because it'll come into play later. I have a very heavy Nightmare Before Christmas wind up snow globe. So you wind it up and it plays music. You sent me it?
Yeah.
Alright, I'll go ahead and download that as I'm keep going. So right away, some of the first things that started happening was it was ending up on the floor. And I would wake up and find it on the floor, and I would put it back up, and I would say, okay, well, that was kind of weird. Why is that there? But I never really thought much of it. And since it's made out of burlap, I thought, maybe my cat likes it, and she's trying to get at it. And then Bree started finding it on the floor when she was here, and she put it up. And she put it in a really sturdy position. And that was it for a little bit. Nothing happened. And then he moved higher up on the shelf because I wanted to make sure that my cat wasn't pulling him down. If you guys want to take a look right here, this is Squidgems. And yeah, I know it's pretty terrifying, but I like spooky things, so I love this thing and I've kept it. We're going to keep it right there. So I would find it on the ground and I'd pick it up and I'd put it up there. And I started telling Bree about it. I always ignored it because I'm a very skeptical person. I always think that something's happening either because somebody's playing a trick on me or my cat is doing it or something very reasonable is happening. And so I never paid any attention to it. I just figured something's happening that I'm not seeing. But then I started telling Bree about it. And as soon as I started telling Bree about it, weirder things started happening. I was laying in bed one night, and if you guys don't know, me and Bree sleep in a call on Discord.
Because we're gay?
And I'm sitting there, getting ready for bed, and the lights are off, and I start hearing the snow globe playing its music.
That's fun.
And so I turn my light on, and there's no cats nearby. It's up on the third shelf. And this thing is about 5 pounds, and the dial to spin it is on the very, very bottom. And it's not a big dial. It's not something that you can, accidentally hit or something. It's a very heavy mechanical dial that you have to pick up the entire thing, spin it, and put it back down. But it played for about 15 seconds, which is quite a bit. You have to spin it 3 times for that much. And it played, and I just, I got a little bit spooked, so I just kind of set it back down, and I went and laid down, and I was like, I'm just gonna go to sleep. And then one day, I was in the kitchen, I was walking back toward my laptop, and I was walking straight toward Squidgems, because he's on a shelf that's pretty close to my bed. And it looked as if Squidgems flipped forward, rolled forward, and knocked off a bunch of stickers and a thermos and a couple of other heavy things that I tried to replicate by putting him up exactly where he was and pushing him forward, and the things didn't fall off the second time. So I never really figured out what that was. I put Squidgems in the very back of the shelf with a couple of heavy things on top of him just to make sure that it couldn't happen anymore. But yeah, that was something pretty spooky that was happening for quite a while that I'm glad has calmed down, but figures now that I said that. So let's read the story of Squidgems. I'll be honest, it's incredibly screwed up because Bree wrote it. Squidgems. Ever since I was put together and crafted, I had such a curious thought of why I'm existing. Hours on hours of thinking of ways to exist, reasons of why I could be in here. It all started out in a restaurant in the early 1800s. An old woman named Lindalyn was searching through the restaurant dumpsters to find the perfect potato sack for a doll for her soon-to-be granddaughter. She tore old pieces of cloth for string, used the spine of a mouse for a needle, and 2 loose buttons she found upon an apron. She didn't think of it as theft, rather a smile on her granddaughter's face. A few of her family members then put me together. After crafting me, we've gotten terrible news of a miscarriage. This is when I've become confused of my existence. I existed for her, crafted for her. What use will I be? Not many cared, considering I'm just a piece of burlap with buttons and string. Ever since I was thrown onto the streets, I've been searching my purpose and the reason of my existence. It has to be more than a smile on an infant. I've been traveling person to person to see who would treat me decently. They've all seemed to fail, left on a shelf to be nothing but a dust collector, flea markets to yard sales to dumpsters, you name it. Until one day, years of traveling and being alone, I fell into the hands of someone adequate to care for me, a person who has given me an existence. And that's you. And from that moment on, Bree cursed me and my house forever. So, it's pretty spooky, but I assume that since nothing has really happened since then, it was all a matter of coincidences that made me more and more paranoid and paranoid. So, I'm happy that things have calmed down. As much as I like the Halloween mood and being spooked and chilled and thrilled, I would much rather have a calm, quiet day. So let's go ahead and get rid of Squidgems because he's freaking me out. Alright, so now
my story's just bogus.
Is your story bogus?
Yeah.
Why?
I was gonna tell a bit of a spooky story about Gettysburg.
Gettysburg? Okay. What did you see at Gettysburg?
Okay, when I was about 10 years old,
Yeah.
you know, Gettysburg is a big place in Pennsylvania.
So battlefield, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Some history stuff, war stuff, boom boom, ghost stuff. In Gettysburg, the town is full of like ghost tours, ghost this, give me money and I'll show you ghost stuff.
Oh, right, of course.
So, we don't really do those. We just go out on the battlefield and go to the Devil's Den and stuff and hang out and take pictures. Which, I don't know if you guys believe those little orbs in pictures are ghosties. But they could be.
Ghosties?
So I took a bunch of pictures and I was like, oh, look, ghosts and stuff, yeah, cool. And then, the one time, when I was, like I said, 10,
Right.
we were all walking and stuff, and my dad was trying to scare everybody because my dad believes in ghosts and he tries to scare everybody with ghost stuff, and he was like, did you hear that? But I was with my aunt and we were walking and we split up from like my parents and everybody. It was just me and her.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I felt something grab the back of my shoulder.
Oh God.
And I looked back and there was no one there. And I was like, holy shit, what was that? Because I was a little 10-year-old and I didn't know what was happening. And yeah. And then my brother said we saw some stuff and then everything. We had really weird ghost experiences in Gettysburg.
Right.
And it was scary.
I've always wanted to go to Gettysburg.
It's really fun. I like going in town. You can see like people on horse and buggy because you can pay to get a little
Right.
ride. Okay, thank you, bye.
All right. I think that should be getting close to wrap up the podcast. We've been going for about an hour. I want to say a couple of things. We are almost done with the 7-day spooktacular, and it has been one of my favorite years yet. We've gotten to do some really cool things and build some really cool things on Oakenstone and have a ton of fun with you guys. Hear some of your spooky stories and share some of our spooky stories, and it's been pretty dang great. So if you guys have stayed this long... What?
I didn't expect us to,
Go that long?
Mhm.
Oh. If you guys managed to stay this long in the actual live stream, or if you are still here from watching the video when it goes up on YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys what's going to be uploaded for the next couple of days. So, on, let's see, tomorrow's the 6th. That's when the podcast will go up, so we don't have anything planned for that. On the 30th is going to be something really, really cool. We're going to be uploading Poltergeist, a Minecraft parody. If you guys don't know what Poltergeist is, me and my brother originally recorded a parody of Poltergeist called Poltergeist on Minecraft about, 3 years ago? 3 years ago, I think. 3 years ago, we made Poltergeist a Minecraft parody, and it was a ton of fun. It was one of my very first big projects on YouTube, and I loved it so much that me and Bree decided to do an HD, high-quality, much more efficient, much better remake, and some of you guys got to be in it, and I'm super, super excited about that.
We got a bunch of people to help, and they don't really know what it was for.
That's true. I managed to keep it pretty much all secret from all of them. So that'll be going up on the 30th. And then on the 31st is maybe one of mine and Bree's things that we're most excited for is going to be part 2 of Spirit Journeys. If you guys haven't seen that, last year me and Bree created a ghost show on Minecraft called Spirit Journeys, where Jack Baggins, shit, I'm gonna get copyright. Jack Baggins goes out with his team and searches for ghosts. This year they're coming back and they're going to check out a couple of places, including a carnival and a record store. So that's gonna be, I feel like a radio host, and they're gonna be checking out a record store. So that's gonna be pretty amazing, and that is basically it for Halloween, except for a video wrapping up, thanking you guys, wishing you guys a happy Halloween and stuff that will do that. So in case you guys haven't seen them, you should go check out Poltergeist on the channel, and you should go check out Spirit Journeys, so you guys will understand it a little bit better when the new ones come out. Also, I wanted to say, since it is spooky themed, but we can't really do it now, Bree has these really spooky places in her town. One is a graveyard.
I forgot to tell you.
What?
You know that mill?
Yeah.
They turned it into a haunted house.
Oh, for Halloween? Wow.
Yeah, you have the key to get in.
Okay. They have a graveyard and a mill that Bree has gotten really, really creepy pictures with hundreds of orbs in them. And since I love spooky stuff, we're gonna do another spooky live stream sometime in January. Me and Bree are going to go out with a camera and a microphone, and we're going to record a podcast while we're ghost hunting, okay? So that's going to be pretty sweet, but we can't do that until January when I come out. So, yeah, I guess that's it. That's probably all you guys care about, in case you want to. No, just in case. November, we're going to be doing really intense, trying to keep up with a bunch of Win stuff, a bunch of Win parodies, a bunch of Win lists, all kinds of more Winecraft stuff, since we weren't able to do a ton this year. And then in December, I'm going to be going out to Pennsylvania, so we're going to try to do a vlog every day in December. I think Bree called it something. Vetted something. Video every day in December.
Every day in December.
So we're going to try to vlog every day in December, and that's basically it. Thank you guys for helping give an amazing Halloween and all the great birthday wishes and everything you guys have done this week. I guess that's it. Do you want to go ahead and do the outro?
We have been Happy Snuggles. Happy birthday. Merry Christmas. See you guys next time. Happy Kwanzaa.
I'm gonna be honest. There's 20 seconds left of the live stream. I want to wait 20 seconds so the video goes up and it's an hour long. So we're just going to do a countdown for the last. I'm so sorry, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you guys.